Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to be a casual, just for fun look at my Halidom. I'm going to give you a tour of the whole place and we'll also touch upon the Dragon's Roost. Basically, I wanted to make this video because I recently hit a new milestone with my Halidom and with my Dragon's Roost that I hadn't achieved or reached in over a year and a half of playing the game. It's also been a long time since I made any video about the Halidom in general, and I figured it was a good time for an update having reached this new milestone. So of course, I'm talking about I now have a completely maxed out Halidom. I was able to raise all my facilities to max level, I have all the facilities, and in my Dragon's Roost, all of the dragons I do have are also at max bond. So if this isn't an indication that Dragalia Lost is more of a marathon than a sprint, then I don't know what is, because it's taken me this long to do it. I have about 600 or a little bit more hustle hammers in reserve that I didn't end up using, just because I've done this over such a prolonged period of time and hustle hammers didn't come out until I'd already finished a lot of my Halidom. The main things that I was slow to complete were the Fafnir statues. I never worked on those back in the day when the standard high dragon trials were all that was available in the first year of the game, so I had those at level 16, and only recently did I go back and play through a lot of standard battles on many of the high dragons I had yet to complete in order to raise those Fafnir statues to level 30. So originally I was kind of thinking about making this as more of a guide, but the more I thought about it, I really didn't have too much to say about Halidom management where I thought that would actually be interesting or super productive. So that's why I've decided to take a more casual approach today. So I'll kind of give you a tour of my setup, and if there are any useful tips that help me along the way, I'll also try to share those in this video. Let's start with the Dragon Roost since we're already here. Obviously, one tip, always be given these gifts every day. The gifts you can give reset every day. You can hang on to your 4-leaf clovers. I don't have that many, but it isn't bad to hang on to them when there's a new powerful dragon out and you want to bump them up to max bond immediately. Like, let's say a Golemars type dragon who has a nice dragon form, and you might want to have a longer duration on that. As for my actual list of dragons, here it is. Everybody should be at max bond level or bond level of 30. Increasing the bond level extends the shapeshift duration, so it's not always strategically optimal to do. And you can sort of base the order that you befriend your dragons in on that fact. So some players prefer to form bonds with the lower rarity dragons first. One of the benefits to that is that you could eventually sell them for Eldwater after you've collected your sunlight ore from them. But personally, I like to keep a copy of every dragon, even at this point in the game, just because I just like having them around. They've been with me this long, I formed a bond with them, how could I sell them off, you know? So that's kind of been my approach. I just keep everybody one copy, and for 5-star dragons, I tend to keep my extra copies. And this has been a long time in the making. I don't think I've missed a day since I started playing Dragalia Lost on the very first day. I've been feeding all of the items or giving all of the gifts. And really, what I did was I would focus on the 5-star gacha dragons that I got as they came out, particularly ones I had at a high overall unbinding level, and the 4-star dragons before that. And the last dragons I got to were actually the story welfare dragons and the 3 stars, so only recently have I formed bonds with them. But that's pretty much all I want to say about the Dragon's Roost. It just freaks me out a little bit that I've actually reached this point. It does mean I don't have as many opportunities for just random sunlight ore as I did in the past, but now we're here in the Halidom proper, so let me zoom out and give you the full bird's eye view of everything. My facility level is 1836. Unless I'm mistaken, I think that is the highest facility level right now. And after hiding the UI, you can kind of get a better picture of it. The way that I've organized my Halidom is this top corner are flame-related facilities or dojos that connect to Flame Imperial Onslaught. So I have my bow dojos and my sword dojos there. And of course, I had to put flame here because I wanted my Arctos monument right next to the smithy, and the Arctos monument is a flame facility. So that's kind of my flame corner. And it actually kind of extends. I mean, it's not really a direct line, but I do have my flame tree here, so there's a path through these gates to get down to the flame tree and through some neutral aligned facilities, but yeah, it's not exactly super clean. Water is in the top right corner, so you can see I have my water Fafnir, aqua slime, whoops. I have my dragon Yada, and that's at level 35 now because of the event rerun, and then my water-related dojos, which is the Lance dojos and the Blade dojos, my water Dracolith, and my water altars, as well as the Yule tree. So water's kind of in that corner, and then light is kind of on the side here. So I have my 2 light altars, staff dojos, which are the only ones tied to the light element. And if you go down off the cliff and kind of on the side, there's my light Fafnir, and my circus tent, and my sweet retreat, all of which are light, as well as my twinkling slime statue. Shadow is here in the bottom corner, so I have my 2 shadow altars, the dagger dojos, which are associated with Shadow IO, poison slime statue, shadow Dracolith, Fafnir statue for shadow, the library obscura, which, despite getting rerun, was not able to be increased to level 35, sadly. My shadow tree, and wind is in the center here, so the dojos associated with wind are the wand and axe dojos. There's my little wind Dracolith and my wind Fafnir. Of course, all my wind stuff was the stuff I maxed first because I really wanted to have a maxed out Eleonora, and my water stuff came second for Pietro, and then my flame stuff came after that for Mikoto, but also around that time is when Master Volk had been announced. So all of this has happened fairly recently, except for the wind stuff. Wind altars, arrow slime statue, and my wind shrine. And then this is kind of my little tree area. Right now it's working out because I have my dragon fruit tree, which has a weird max level of 27. And my other trees are there, but there's only 3 Agito trees. And then my weapon-related facilities are over here. And like so many other people, my mines are next to this actual physical mine. Mine are level 40, but frankly, it's a really bad investment. I only did it for completion purposes. It's generally not worth it. You don't really get a lot of rupees out of them once you go that high, and you spend a lot of tier 4 light orbs. So be very careful if you do decide to go that route. But that's kind of my Halidom in a nutshell. I guess just to give a few tips on my overall approach to things, when you're very early on, I think you just want to try, manage, and make sure that you're always using your smithworms on cooldown if possible. So what I used to do is things like if it was a longer build time, I would try make it so that that started overnight, and that would give it a lot of time when I wasn't actively playing the game, or let's say I started it right in the morning before I went to work, and then 8 hours later I checked it, it was done. That was generally my approach to things, and for the first 2 months of the game, I only had 2 smithworms. Now I have 4, and I do think it's probably worth having around 3 or 4 if you want to speed through the facility process a little bit more. Hustle hammers have kind of changed the game as far as smithworms, so I think you could make the case to just stick with 2, which is the default that you have. I mean, I have over 600 hustle hammers left, right? So it's not unreasonable to try stick with 2 or even 3 of the smithworms, and obviously I have no need to go up to the 5th smithworm. The thing is, you really, in my opinion, there's no point. You never want to spend wormite to fasten or quicken the leveling up of a facility. It's just a really big waste. It's very obvious you've done that because your wormite will not be in a multiple of 5. It will be in some other multiple, and it's just a really bad feeling and a bad look on the account, in my view. There's just more precious things to spend your wormite on when time is renewable, so to speak. So that's my opinion on it, especially now that we have hustle hammers available. And with hustle hammers, I would personally save them for builds that take a day or more. Even though I have 600 left, I have a lot of those from the Champions Road, I want to say, some special endeavors we had fairly recently to try beat High Midgard Stormer's Trial. So if you weren't available around at the time to participate in that, you wouldn't have all of those. So I do think it's worth saving them for things that take a day or more. Maybe you even want to look at 2 days or more, because there are plenty of facilities that take that long to level up toward the end of their life. Like the Dragon Tree takes forever, even early on. And other things like the Flame Tree also take a long time. The Fafnirs also take a long time, multiple days. So for a lot of the final levels, I literally just hustle hammered everything. And at this point, for the foreseeable future, I'm just going to hustle hammer any new facilities unless we get a lot of new facilities or something really unprecedented. But the other thing that I would suggest is, besides managing things on cooldown, going wide with your facilities, your bronze tier Diurnell coins can get you a lot of quick levels on your facilities. I would suggest trying to get all your dojos to level 16 before trying to get any of them up to the max level of 35. 16 and 31 are kind of like good turning points for those. And you want to get materials from IO when double drops or preferably triple drops are around. Nowadays, it's a lot harder to grind IO because there are so many fewer players in public lobbies. So it's not unreasonable, and this is something I had to do in the past, was save honeys, save ashes for those triple drop or double drop opportunities. Now that we know triple drops are a possibility, you might even just want to save honey for triple drops, save skip tickets, do your dailies without using your skip tickets so that at some point you could cash in 200 skip tickets, just get a lot of triple drop Master IO resources and a good amount of Eldwater as well from doing that. So I guess that's kind of what I think on the dojos. And other stuff like the slime statues that you trade for in the Void Battle Treasure Trade, making it a priority is not a bad thing with your Void Seeds. Void Seeds can be spent on rupees, they're spent for mana spiraling, there are other important places to put them. You want them obviously for gold Fafnirs and the other Fafnirs in the treasure trade, but it only really takes the one to buy the statue, I believe, and then you need various void materials to level the statues up. Things like this just boost your might over time, playing events in the event compendium as well. And sometimes that can make the difference between getting gated out of a room in public lobbies or being able to participate and show that you know your stuff. So that is a small tip, but not a huge tip really on void battles. Honestly, if there's one facility that I think you could put off, it's definitely the Fafnir statues. The Fafnir statues are not to be confused with the Dracoliths you get from playing the campaign. Those are actually pretty important because they provide a percentage increase to your damage when you're shapeshifted. This used to not show the percent sign. It wasn't clear that it was a percent increase. It was sort of based on how it was worded or presented. It almost looked like it was 20 extra damage, on hit. It's actually not that. It is a percentage increase. So these are actually pretty relevant. The Fafnir statues raise the stats that you get off your dragons, which is not a major source of stats on your characters. It is something, but this 11.5%, when you look at the stats on your dragon compared to the final stats on your adventure, this is a pretty small amount overall. So that's one reason that a lot of players, myself included, put this off until the very end, until you're really trying to push the might on stuff. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it for my thoughts on the Halidom. If there's one thing I want to close with this video, it's that I would like to see the Halidom featured in some new modes. I think that there's actually a lot of potential here. One of my ideas back when it wasn't clear what type of crossover we'd get around the time of the Dragalia Digest was actually an Animal Crossing crossover. I was hoping, since Pocket Camp exists and New Horizons had come out around that time, that maybe we could have a Halidom event, and that would be a new type of event focused on actually decorating the Halidom and maybe pleasing residents and getting some type of reaction or something cute with them. And maybe we could also use the Halidom for a defensive tower type mode or defensive battle type mode where we're actually somehow in the Halidom walls themselves. Like, I just think that there's a lot of potential with this. Maybe there's some potential for monetization too with other types of decorations and little special facilities. that doesn't seem too promising. I think if anything, people would really want skins. But as a whole, I feel like this is kind of an untapped resource in Dragalia Lost. It tends to matter a lot until you complete it, and then you almost never really interact with it, except I come here to collect my rupees, I come here to collect my honey tea, and every day I feed my dragons, and basically that is my whole interaction with the Halidom now that I'm done with it. So I would like to see this expanded in the future, and not just in terms of having greater levels on facilities. As fun as it was to collect all the rainbow orbs, all the tier 4 orbs for my light altars, you know, water, wind, etc., that was a project, and I like projects like that because it keeps me playing the game. It makes me feel like there's a tangible carrot in front of me to continue logging in, spending my stamina, but I would also like to see some gameplay around this space. I think that could be kind of cool. Let me know if you have any ideas for that in the comments below, or if you have any other thoughts or tips on the Halidom, or if you just want to share what your Halidom progress is like yourself. That is going to do it for this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this chill video, kind of casual look today. I'll get back to some guides this coming week, as well as this month in Dragalia Lost coming out tomorrow. But that is going to do it for today, everyone. So thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.